veteran and someone who was a staunch ally in the fight against Scott Walker's Act 10. Randy Bryce is an unabashed champion of the middle class and has made it his mission to replace Paul Ryan with a worker. No wonder Speaker Ryan announced he is stepping down from Congress. So please give a warm welcome to a fellow of our union family, Randy Bryce.
How we doing, AFT? So great to see the delegates, educators, and nurses. Wanted to thank President Weingarten at the State of the Union. She came up to me and invited me to ask if I'd be interested in speaking here. She said, our members love you. Well, let me assure you that feeling is very mutual. It may sound crazy, but running for Congress was not on my bucket list. You know, there are people that have said that I'm a politician, but try as they may, I can tell you that I definitely haven't been able to pay my bills on a politician's salary. A year ago today, we were talking on a job site about doing something to actually make a change, because we weren't being represented in Wisconsin or in Washington. And Paul Ryan had been one of the worst offenders. He had been talking about repealing and replacing our health care. 23 million people would be affected by it. And I looked at the other co-workers and I said, why don't we repeal and replace him? Shortly after Donald Trump was elected, I received a phone call from Voces de la Frontera. It's an immigrants' rights group back in Wisconsin. And they were asking me if I would start attending their emergency meetings. They were afraid that their families were going to be torn apart after Donald Trump had been elected. We saw how he ran. We saw what he was trying to do to us. This divide and conquer that Scott Walker used on us in Wisconsin. So I was able to help bring in labor, veterans, and members from other communities to stand with our immigrant brothers and sisters. It occurred to me that that's what we need to do. In that moment, and right now, we need to come together. So when I was asked if I would consider throwing my hat in the ring against Paul Ryan, I looked at the people around me, listened to their stories, and I saw how scared they were. I remember a young high school woman talking about being in her classroom, wondering if she was going to be able to make the day, or if ICE was going to come, rip her out, and take her to some detention center. She also had the same fear about being able to return home, and if her dad was going to be allowed, was going to be there, or if ICE was going to kick in their doors and take him away. So I remember just seeing these faces, and I knew that I could bring people together. I had to say yes. I believed then, and I still believe now, that we need a working person standing up for other working people. After I graduated from high school, I enlisted in the Army. And after my tour in Honduras, when I came back, I worked with homeless veterans. It was, and it still is appalling to me that those two words can be used in the same sentence together. Homeless veterans. When that grant ran out, I did what a lot of other veterans do. I ended up working 2 full-time jobs. And despite working those 2 full-time jobs, I didn't have health insurance. So when I was diagnosed with cancer, I had no way to cover the costs. I survived the disease, and I even proved them wrong when they said I wouldn't be able to have a kid. He's 11 now, but I was just talking with some delegates in the back who their sons have gone to the teen years, so I have something to look forward to. Let me say, at 11 years old, Dad's still pretty cool, and we get along great. His teens, we'll see. But the financial burden of having had cancer was insurmountable. And like so many others across our district, the country, I had to declare bankruptcy. Now, it took many years to crawl out of that hole, and I'm forever grateful that my ex-wife and I were able to put our son first, and make sure that he was taken care of until I got back on my feet. I know that my story resonates with countless people because it's their story too. Soon after, I was given the opportunity to have an apprenticeship as an ironworker. Now, working the iron is a tough job, but it was also what helped me to get out of debt and to be able to provide for my son. It gave us both good health insurance and allowed me entry into middle class. One of the many reasons why I'm union proud. And in keeping with being union proud, I'm also very proud to say that our campaign staff was the first to organize in American political history. Our campaign workers are union members. But sadly, too many of these good paid union jobs are being outsourced. And it's happening right here, back at home, and all across the country. That's why I'm here. That's why I keep fighting for all of us. And I'm fighting because I'm a father. I want a better life for my son. I want a better life for your sons, for your daughters. I want to be able to tell my son and his kids, when they ask back in this time in history, what did you do? I'm going to say, look, I was fighting for you. And I want to fight for kids all across the country that are just like him. It starts with giving our kids the best shot at a good life, which means we have to get more funding for public schools. Yeah. When Scott Walker took office in Wisconsin, one of the first things he did was cut nearly $1 billion from our public education. Now that directly affected my son and his classroom, because what it did was it took that money away and it ended up closing another school in his district. All the kids had to get dispersed. And now he was born August 31st at 11:45 p.m. 15 minutes later, he would have had to wait an entire year to go to school. So when me and his mom were discussing when we should enroll him, should we hold him out a year? He said, no, everything's fine. This was pre-Scott Walker. So once he got in, he needed a little bit of help as far as reading. There were programs available. Title I was there, but that all went away with the Scott Walker budget. So when they closed the school nearby, not only also took away summer school program from his school, the kids were all dispersed. He ended up getting bumped because some students had lower test scores than his. So what should we do? Are we going to have to hold him back a year now? But it was by working with his teachers that they helped out. She ended up putting him closer up to her desk and gave me some suggestions. Here's how you can find out, the books that are too hard for him, too easy for him, just right. It was working with these teachers after class on her time that she was able to help out. But because of that, he ended up getting a B in English. We should also have tuition-free public colleges because college education should be accessible to children from all different backgrounds. I also believe we should have universal pre-K, more of it in areas that are disadvantaged minorities, people that need it, so that children are prepared from an early age and can get a head start on that. I'm also going to make sure we are protecting federal funding for low-income students and students with disabilities, because a good education should be a right in this country. As I've said, my son is the most important thing in my life. And I can tell you when I drop him off to be in a safe space where he can just focus on learning. I mean, we take our most prized possessions, drop them off in front of the school, and expect the people in the building to work miracles without paying them what they're worth. So why are we underfunding and underpaying the schools and the educators that are there for our children? Bottom line, we need to start treating our educators and our schools with the respect and dignity that they deserve. Teachers, educators, and nurses are the ones shaping the next generation. We need to start paying them what they're worth so we can set all of our children up for a better future. We also have another epidemic facing our schools. We have too many guns getting in the hands of wrong people. We've all seen the news, and we all know we have a gun problem in America. School shootings happen far too often here. Thoughts and prayers haven't solved the problem. We need common sense gun reform because we need to protect our students. And we see children, young children all across the country, telling us to stand up and fight for their lives. High school students, Parkland, high schools in Janesville, March for Our Lives. They're telling us we need to stand up for them. We're not doing a good enough job as adults. We need to listen. We are the ones that are supposed to protect them. So let's listen to them. Let's fight for them. I can tell you, I will not be sending my son to school with one of those bulletproof backpacks. I can't even believe they're making them. I'm not going to stand for that. We need common sense gun reform, and we need it now. Giving people more guns to protect themselves against guns doesn't make anyone safer. It's like having a kid on the playground throw a rock at somebody, so let's give all the kids a rock. And also, my sister's a fantastic public school teacher. I trust her with my son, but you don't want her having a gun in the classroom. We need to get more guns off our street and out of the hands of people who want to hurt our children. We need better mental health services to help our students, so no one feels the need to turn to violence instead. Listen, I'm not a lifelong politician. I'm not someone who was groomed from a young age to serve in this role. But all my stances on issues come from talking to working families about what they need. That's why I'm here. I'm here because I believe healthcare is a right, not a privilege. And people shouldn't have to be making life or death decisions on choices because they can't afford their medications. I believe we need to protect the good-paying jobs that we have and bring more back to this country. That includes rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure and investing in blue-collar jobs. Let's get back to exporting cars, not jobs. I also believe we have to protect our environment because our kids and their kids are depending on it. I believe that we need to make sure that our citizens are taken care of. We need to use our taxpayer money to give our kids better education and by paying public sector workers what they're worth. And I believe the people of this country deserve more than what we've been getting since Donald Trump took office. said it before, but it's far too important not to say again. This fight is far from over. You know, together, we did repeal Paul Ryan. And we're not going to stop there. We're going to repeal these Republicans in Congress as well this evening. You know, one of my first memories when Scott Walker dropped the bomb during Act 10 was seeing the AFT banner there. And Candace was one of the delegates from Wisconsin. I remember her even before Act 10 and the bomb was dropped, showing up at the commemoration of the Bayview Massacre, where the Governor Rusk at the time, called the National Guard to shoot people that were standing up for the 8-hour workday. I'm walking in here today, I'll never forget seeing the banner. You know, we care, we fight. I remember you fighting with us back then, and I know we're going to fight together coming up in November. I tell our other members in the building trades and ironworkers union that there's nothing really special about me. There isn't. I was just one person that had enough. And if that's all that it turned out to be, you wouldn't be hearing from me. You never would have heard of what I am. But it's about other people that have been committed to stand up who have also had enough. It's not about me. It really is about us. Because we all care. We all will fight. And together, I guarantee we're going to win. Thank you.
I want to just honor the folks from Wisconsin who are here. I want you to come up to Luke's so we can take a picture as Randy leads. I saw Candace, I saw Kim, and I want them to do that because, look, we learned a lot from what happened in Wisconsin. There were a lot of rallies. I was at the Capitol so many times. Madison is a union town. Milwaukee is a union town. Janesville is a union town. Racine is a union town. And we saw by the way in which the right wing operated, how they went right after collective bargaining and our units that had done the work of collective bargaining, but had done the kind of, as Andy Pallotta said yesterday, really outsourcing of our power to our leaders and had not been engaged in the same way as when we were founded. And they've taught us a lot about how to deal and how to fight and how to re-engage. And they are growing again. Thank you, Wisconsin, and thank you, Randy, for taking on Paul Ryan before he retired and being willing to do that. And we need you in the United States Congress. Thank you very much. I see a microphone. I'm going to ask Donna Chiara to come up so we can talk, so we can do the Education Committee. I'm going to get to microphone 4 in a minute, I promise. But my goal is we will stop somewhere between 12:15 and 12:30. My goal is to get through the Education Committee, and if we can, the Political Committee. If not, we'll start in the afternoon, the Political Committee, and if we get through the Education Committee, we will have gotten back almost on time.